And everyone, we're back. We are back. We are back. I hope you can all see us now. You can all see us now. Let's go. Okay. I think we're good to go. We're good to go. So for me, sorry for the technical difficulty we had earlier on, but talking about move for Wilfred Ndidi, the bid accepted for him. The initial bid from Besiktas was rejected. I think was the 7 million euros bid that was rejected. But now a fresh one was made of about 8.5 million pounds, and that one has now been, indeed accepted. So, what do you think about that move for Ndidi heading to the Turkish league? For me, overall, I think it's a good move. I think it's a good move for the player. It's a good move for the player, and he goes to play. And from a Nigerian perspective, for me, I want Nigerian players to go and play so they have their head in the right head space, as opposed to when the World Cup qualifiers come around, AFCON, comes around, you still have them struggling, you still have Nigerian players struggling and not having their head in the right head space. Because why that's important is we as fans, we love to see the players play. We don't really care about what happens to them, off the pitch. But we should remember that this is their livelihood. This is how they earn their money, how they take care of their family. So if for whatever reason, you know, um, if for whatever reason they have issues with their club, with where they're playing, then they can't give their best for the Super Eagles because psychological warfare, that's one thing that has to be taken care of. The psychological aspect of the game is something that has to be taken care of. So happy that he's going to Pakistan. Some people might say it's a drop down, in leagues, but I think the Turkish league is a tough competition, and he'll get to play against Victor Osimhen. Let's see how that shakes down. If indeed, right, if indeed if indeed he'll be able to stop Victor Osimhen winning the league title in the Turkish Super Liga. So please, I'll just go off for a second. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back here. Just 1 minute, please. Yeah, so I want to know your thoughts and opinions on Wilfred Ndidi joining possibly joining Besiktas. And then another player that we have to talk about is Samuel Chukwueze. Samuel Chukwueze, you know, um, he's been very, very important for Eric Chell so far. But at AC Milan, for me, I feel like you have Rafael Leao holding down one spot. He has one spot held down, and then every other wide forward that comes to the team must pick a spot, must fight for one spot rather. So your Pulisic, your Chukwueze, so any winger they sign now must fight for a spot. So I think at this time it would be a good move for Chukwueze to make that move, to make that move to the Premier League, and I think his style of play would suit how Fulham wants to play. That's how I just see it. So, what are your thoughts and opinions on that one? I think it will really suit how he likes to play pace, running, especially if he is seen as the main guy. If he's treated as the main guy, the main creative outlet in that Fulham team. But one thing I don't want to see with Fulham is I don't want to see him being played out of position. I don't want to see him being played in the 10 role. Let's see him play that wide right role, that's right wing role. And then one other thing that I would like to mention, I've mentioned it earlier on when we had some technical issues. I have to talk about it, and that's Philip Otele. Philip Otele, for me, is a special player, super special player. And I think clubs are sleeping on this player. He was in Arawada at first, and now he's gone on to Basel, and he was super impressive at Basel. He was super impressive at Basel. I mean, he has been super impressive at Basel. And he scored, was it 9 goals and about 5 assists or so for the Swiss club. And now he started the season on fire again. He scored 2 goals in their victory, in the league. So brilliant performance from him. I think Premier League clubs are sleeping on this player. La Liga clubs are sleeping on this player. And possibly what's going to happen is he probably will be signed by Frankfurt or maybe, Dortmund or one of those clubs. And by the time a Premier League club wants to come in for him, it'll probably be 50 million pound, £50 million player. I'm really excited to see what that player can be, for the Nigerian Super Eagles. So I really, really am, excited about that player. And then talking about players I'm excited about, talking about the German Bundesliga as well, is Tyreek George. Plays for Chelsea, eligible to play for Nigeria and for England. Of course, you know where my allegiances lie. I would love him to play for Nigeria. But looking at things from one perspective is, why is it that he isn't, in the plans for Chelsea? Why is it that he, at this point, he's not in the plan for Chelsea? Garnacho seems to be the man. Chelsea have come up to say, yes, we like him. Yes, we value him. But if you value a player, you give him game time. If you value a player, so we want to keep him and all that, you should give him game time. You don't go and sign a Garnacho. And right now, Chelsea seems hell bent on signing Garnacho. You already have a Gittins. Why would you be looking to go sign a Garnacho when you have a Tyreek George? So a lot of Chelsea fans will say, please leave the club, leave our club. What do you mean leave your club? He's been at the club since he was 8. So it is his club as well. And he should be playing. I think he's done enough last season to show people that, yes, I should be playing. Yeah, he's done enough to see that he should be playing. He should be a starter. And so he should be a starter. I'm not saying obviously he should be a starter. Gittins is the number one guy that will start, in my opinion, as the winger and as the left winger. And then the second option should be Tyreek George. And for me, you're going for a player, in and Garnacho that is not a guarantee. Garnacho isn't a guarantee. Garnacho isn't guaranteed, to give you suddenly 10 goals and 10 assists. He's still a player that you sign that comes in to give, that you have to develop, give him a year to come good and all that stuff. So for me, it's just crazy town that Chelsea want to let go Tariq George. But anyways, according to Fabrizio Romano yesterday, Tariq George wants to leave Chelsea this month with reduced game time and Bundesliga clubs keen on signing him. Permanent move also possible. Chelsea prefer to keep George but accept his desire for regular football. RB Leipzig and Blackback among clubs keen. Now, for me, the thing is, if you want him in the system, let him go on loan. Let him go on loan. For me, I feel it's always funny and strange when clubs say, "Oh, we want this player to stay. We really like the player." Then why are you signing someone in the spot? And the person you're signing is not like he's a superstar. It's not like he's a mega superstar that immediately comes in to give you production. He doesn't. Ganacho doesn't. He can come and be a star in 2 3 years, but he's not the final product himself. So, from a Chelsea perspective, I would love him to stay. But for me, from a Nigerian perspective, I'm happy if he goes to RB Leipzig, if he goes to Dortmund and gets game time there, plays there, delivers there, scores tons of goals there. And you know what's going to happen. You exactly know what's going to happen. If he goes there the way football is played in the German league, he will instantly be worth, at the very least, 40, 50 million pounds because he'll probably rack up maybe 15 goals and maybe another 5 assists in the German Bundesliga, the way football is played there. I know he's going to come good if he goes there. He will crush it, that's for sure, because he's a super special talent. Yeah, I think he's a super special talent. So that's why, for me, I'd love to just to keep him. But from a Nigerian perspective, I want him to go to the German league. And from on the other side of things, when it comes to players and English clubs and playing for the national team, English national team, once a player leaves the Premier League and goes to the German league, a lot of people have this uppity feel about it. Now, what's the German Bundesliga? It's not such a good league, and I think that opens up the options for, you know, that opens up the options for Nigerian players. That opens up the options for Nigerian players for Nigeria to come in and see if they can convince a player. But that still rests on the NFF, in my opinion, if they would take advantage of any opportunity they get to get a top player like him to play for Nigeria. So if you just join the stream, I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions on the topics we talked about. Wilfred Ndidi, two Beckish stars. Is something you're open to doing? Is something you're open to? Is something you like, or you prefer that he remain with Leicester City, or he's at least stayed in English football? Thoughts and opinions about that. Your thoughts and opinions on Philip Otele. What do you think about him? And then, of course, Samuel Chukwueze reports linking him to Fulham. What do you think? For me, I think that it would be a good move for him to go to Fulham, or at least come to the English Premier League, because his style of play would work a treat in the Premier League. And also, speaking about players that have been slept on, it's Noah Adedji Stenberg. I think that's a player that has been slept on. He's got the skill, he's got the pace, he's got the ability, but for some reason, he's not attracting those big offers alongside his teammates. Tolu Arokodare. Tolu Arokodare is another super special player, and I don't quite understand why he isn't attracting the interest as well. Although we've heard talks about West Ham being interested, but those talks have not really led to any concrete offer being made. We've heard talks about Newcastle United being interested, but no concrete offers have been made. But Newcastle United probably they really want to go out there and spend 80 million euros on what's his face on the Sesco. Let's see how that works out for them. So for me, overall, I think he's been slept on. He is a player that can surely do a good job in the Premier League. And now we must talk about one player. We must talk about Ademola Lookman. It's a bit strange, this Lookman thing, because when what's his face, Victor Osimhen had his issues with Napoli, he wanted to leave to Chelsea. Chelsea were requesting were lowballing him in terms of personal terms. He was refusing it. A lot of Nigerians were on his back. A lot of Nigerians criticized him heavily, harshly, in my opinion. That, why doesn't he want to take a pay cut? He's greedy, he's selfish, whatever. Napoli made things difficult with their negotiation tactics, and everyone battered and blamed Osimhen. I saw it differently because I see the way clubs behave with players. Now, we have Ademola Lookman, who is a relatively more quiet person than Victor Osimhen, and people sort of love him for that and say, oh, he's a quiet person, look at how he is, he's so different. But he's had issues with Atalanta. The thing with the move to Atalanta was this. He was keen. He had discussions with Atalanta, he and his reps, and possibly some people from Inter Milan. They had some discussions with Inter Milan that, okay, this is what if Inter Milan makes an offer in this range, yes, we're keen to make that move, we would accept it. And now offer in the range has been made, which is I think 43 million euros guaranteed and 5 million euros in add-ons, so bringing it up to 48 million euros. But Atalanta have rejected it. They've rejected that offer. They rejected the offer whilst you know uh, um, making Ademola Lookman irate, upset with it. He's become really upset, so he's had to put in a transfer request. He's had to put in a transfer request. Now, a lot of people have said this is unfair, it's not right to do to him, and all that. But this is what a message I want to send out, not just to Ademola Lookman, but to every player, especially Nigerian players. If you have, whenever you have negotiations with a club, whatever you want, even if you want a cow to moo at your window before you wake up, have it in the contract. If you want a bird to flap his wings around your head 10 times before you wake up, have it in the contract. Don't shake your hands on what they call gentleman's agreement. Oh, don't worry, you'll be there. Oh, you want to leave for 50 million euros? Don't worry, we are family now, we'll get it done. No, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. Because they say all that because they don't want to commit it to black and white. Because black and white is what you can prove. Black and white is what that in that contract is the basis of your contract. Your life and time at the club is governed by that contract. Your leaving the club as well is governed by that contract. So things about agreements is that it doesn't really work. We saw it with Victor Gyökeres. I think he had 100 million euros or thereabout in as his buyout clause, and then there was this supposed gentleman agreement that will allow him live for 60 and all that. It didn't just work immediately. He had to fight for it. He had to become toxic in a way before Sporting Lisbon would let him go. So, player today, you want to get an agreement, you want to have a release clause of maybe £5 million, you should have that agreement done. You should have that agreement done. So, I think you should also have a look at the article that talked about Ndidi actually leaving Leicester City and a bid being offered for him. So I'll share my screen in a moment. Apologies if you feel like you've heard some of these things before. Had some technical issues with YouTube, had to reset and all, and now hopefully everything is back. So let's see what this article said about Ndidi. So Leicester City have reportedly accepted an improved bid from Turkish Super League club Besiktas for Super Eagles midfielder Wilfred Ndidi, eyed by Manchester United. Soccernet.ng understands. This development comes just days after Leicester turned down an initial €7 million for the Nigerian midfielder. The new offer is believed to be closer to €9.5 million release clause in Ndidi's contract, which became active following the Foxes' relegation from the Premier League last season. Now, before I go on to give my opinion about this whole thing first, you can see Ndidi had a relegation clause, a release clause that could be triggered on relegation, just like Liam Delap had that £30 million relegation clause. Once the club gets relegated, that clause becomes triggered. So everything you want to do, your life, how, in your club, how you live, how you move, how you stay in the club is all governed by your contract. So it's very important. So they made the initial bid of 7 million euros that was rejected. Like I'll keep saying, it was a good move in my opinion. It's a good move for him to make that, to be going to Besiktas. He'll be coming up against Victor Osimhen. Let's see if indeed he's able, to stop him. But overall, I think that's a good one. Let me know what you think. I want us to have a discussion right here. Let me know what you think in the chats about, Wilfred Ndidi's supposed move. And also, what do you think about Tula Rokodare? One more year at Genk, or you feel he should be moving to other clubs? For me, if a Dortmund could sign a Grassi, 29 will soon be 30, if it's not 30 already. And I think Arokodare could do well for a lot of clubs, in my opinion. So, touch some opinions about that one. And then, of course, you've had links to people like Victor Boniface, but I don't think he's going to leave Bayer Leverkusen. We had things about Manchester United possibly being interested. I don't think that move that is going to be concrete enough, and I don't think he fits Manchester United's style of play, because Manchester United want to play with pace on the transition, and that is not his game. He can do link up play very well. That's Victor Boniface. He can do link up very well, and then that's how he scores with the 10 close to him. He can really try there. Victor Osimhen would have been an ideal candidate for Manchester United. I think he would have been an ideal candidate for lots of clubs, but people have slept so much on Victor Osimhen. Now back with the talk about Ademola Lookman. Now, do you think that deal is going to be finalized? Do you think he's going to move? Um, and for me, I also want to say this. I think Chelsea are sleeping on him. Arsenal are sleeping on him, and I don't quite understand why. I wish I could say why. I don't understand why. If, for instance, Arsenal had a left winger producing, playing well, so okay, got that area fixed. If Chelsea got a left winger fixed, I would have said, okay, fixed. I'll say, okay, you've got Gittins, you don't want to sign another person, that's fine. But you want to sign Ganacho for more than someone that can actually come in and produce for you like an Ademola Lookman, it makes zero sense to me. It makes zero sense to me. And then as well, you look at your Manchester United. If you want to play with those two tens, he could have been one of those. But apparently, no club in the Premier League wants Lookman. So Inter Milan, I hope that move comes true. And for me, this just boils down to the value of the Nigerian player. And I think we as fans have a lot to contribute to this as well, because sometimes I feel like we get overly critical of our players. The way the branding of the players work is just poor. Because I'll tell you, you see what Inter Milan are stalling on. Although I feel the major fault, the major fault in the deal is from Atalanta. But you see the figure that they are stalling on, that Inter Milan feels like it's too much to pay. 2 more million euros to pay is too much. If he was Brazilian, San Diego Ronaldinho would have paid that money because of the value, of these players. So, what do you think about the various topics we've talked about today, the various transfer topics we've talked about Nigerian players, Didi, Leicester City, Chukwueze, possibly Fulham. Even if he doesn't go to Fulham, I feel other clubs, man, Everton could be a good move for him if an interest comes in from there. I also think Sunderland could be a good move for him as well. That's one place I would like to see him move. And speaking about Sunderland, there is a Nigerian at Sunderland. I'm wondering if he's going to get game time. He is um, Ahmed Abdullahi, I think that's his name. Ahmed Abdullahi. He plays for Sunderland. So I'm hoping and praying he does get game time this season. And given the fact they've signed McGee, that might be a challenge because most teams right now play with a single striker. So Ahmed Abdullahi, I don't know how if he's going to get game time in it, but let's see how that all shakes down. So just a minute and I'll be back with the show. Don't go anywhere, please. Now, so just decided for it would be nice for us to see the statement put out there by Ademola Lookman. Says, over the past 3 years at Atalanta, I've given absolutely everything, not just as a footballer, but as a person. I've always wanted to share with pride and try to represent the club and the city of Bergamo with heart, passion, and dedication. I came here with the hope of helping the special club grow, and together we have created memories that will stay with me forever. Winning the Europa League and standing shoulder to shoulder with my teammates that night in Dublin, celebrating with our fans, was one of the proudest moments of my career so far. It still gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Atalanta, and especially the supporters, have become a part of my life. So let's skim through that. And yeah, that's what makes writing this hard. Been numerous clubs approached Atalanta in the past, and I have previously always stayed loyal. However, myself and the ownership of the club have been in agreement that now is the right time, and the club were clear with me that if a fair offer came in, they would allow me move. Despite now receiving an offer in alignment with what I believe had been discussed, sadly the club are blocking the opportunity for reasons I do not understand. As a result, and after many months of broken promises and what I feel has been poor treatment towards me as both a human being, as a professional footballer, sadly I feel I have no choice but to speak out. So fair play Ademola Lookman speaking out and saying his mind on that. But like I said, whatever you want with a club, it should be in your contract. So that makes me question the sort of agents the Nigerian players have. Anything you want, must be in your contract, because these clubs, anything that they want, if they want a 200 million pounds or euros release clause in your contract, they would have it there. They wouldn't say we're having a gentleman's agreement. It will be there. It will be that 200 million pounds in the contract. It will be that 200 million pounds in the contract. They won't say, let's check on it at a gentleman's agreement. Whatever you want, have it in that contract. So Ademola Lookman, I sincerely hope the move to Inter Milan really works out for him, because for me, um, like I've said with Victor Osimhen, his deal is sorted out. He's joined Galatasaray. I've said the same thing. I'm saying the same thing concerning Wilfred Ndidi. Hope everything's sorted out. His move to Besiktas works. The same thing I'm saying with Ademola Lookman as well, because going into the World Cup qualifiers, going into AFCON that later on this year, you want these players in the right state of mind. You want them in the right frame of mind, seriously. Because, like I said, we as fans, all we want is let them play well, let them score goals. We go goals, goals, score goals. Oh, how you missed that goal? Why you missed that goal? We all are passionate about that. But if a player isn't in the right headspace, then they can produce on the pitch. If their professional lives, are in tatters or have some doubt to them, they can play well. So I really hope this gets sorted out soon, and I hope he learns from his lesson. The same thing with Victor Osimhen. I hope he's learned from his lesson as well. You've had this sort of issues with the club. You're now going to sign, a contract. You're going now to sign a new contract with Inter Milan. If everything pulls through, then you must include whatever you want. If you want something to say, if an English club, an English Premier League club makes an offer for me, the club must listen to that offer, have it there. If you want to say, if an English club bids 20 million pounds for my services, it must be in that contract, have it there. Because if you don't, then you're going to be in trouble. Yeah, then speaking. So keeping on this theme of Nigerian players who are making moves, you've got Ahmed Adebayo. He's making the move to IK Start. I think in the Norwegian League as well. So that's a good move for him. Brilliant move. Waiting to see what he does. And then as well, we've had a Nigerian player eligible to play for Nigeria that signed, with Rapid Vienna in the Austrian League. So Peter Nusakari Dar. And that's why I say I love my Edo and Delta brothers. I love them because no matter where you go to, they must make sure you have that branding. You must have that branding in your name to say that here you're Nigerian. So want to see what he does. He is another sort of exciting player as well, pace, skill, and just seems to produce players with sort of these abilities. So I'd like to see what he does at Rapid Vienna. And on this channel, we'll always give you the latest on these players, as well as so Ahmed Adebayo, want to see what he does there. And Already Parabo, wonder kid, Nigerian wonder kid, broke goal scoring records in the TCC and the Creative Championship in Nigerian grassroots football. He moved and was signed by Lillestrøm. And then he finally made a loan move to Mjøndalen in the same league as well. And the same for game time. And he's already hit the ground running. He scored his first goal for the club. So brilliant, brilliant move for him. I'm really happy about that's done. And one player that I'm hoping gets to move is Onyebuchi Obasi. He plays for Valerenga in the Norwegian league. Super talented player for me. I feel he's Nigeria's answer to Vinny Jr. I know a lot of people say, Vinny Jr., how can you say that? Vinny Jr. was on the Ballon d'Or list. Yeah, I'm saying that in terms of skill set, in terms of profile of player. I'm not talking about caliber of player, I'm talking of profile of player. The profile of player is skill set, the way they play football, the way they see the game. I think they are similar. I hope he can make a move out of Valerenga, due respect to the club. Of course, they are the ones that have given that opportunity. So I want to see what he does. And then Shola Ogundono, again, is another player that I think clubs are sleeping on. Especially if you're a club like maybe an Everton and you want to play on the counter, you want to be robust, defend deep, and hit on the break, you can do with his electrifying pace. You can definitely do with electrifying pace. So you can have another PNP match and power and pace. And I think he would be suitable for a lot of clubs in the Premier League. But let's see what shakes out. Maybe with more game time, another season in the first team of Flamingo, he will be he could attract more moves, more attractive offers from European clubs. So let's see how that shakes down. So I want to say later on today, I'll be having another stream as well, and I'll be having a guest on here, and he'll be giving you more insights on different transfers that have happened for a lot of Nigerian players all over the world. Nigerian players are always on the move. So fair play, fair play, fair play. Thanks for all you've been watching, who've been on the stream. I hope you don't mind if I take a little break just for a minute, and I'll be back on the stream. So don't go anywhere. So we are back. We are back. Thanks for waiting. We are back. So run through all we've talked about. So Ndidi off to Pakistas. Got some opinions on that. For me, I think it's a good move for the player. So fair play with that one. And then of course we've also talked about linking Samuel Chukwueze two moves to the Premier League, especially what they call now Fulham. Then of course, hopefully, I'm looking at Everton could be a good move for him. I've talked about Ademola Lookman putting in a transfer request. It's hard to put in that transfer request. We've talked about Ahmed Adebayo making a move to IK Start. So we're talking about different players who have been making moves to different clubs. So overall that's been good. But there's another player, Chuba Akpom. He moved from Ajax to Lille, and now he's attracted interest. I think that was a loan move, but it's attracted interest from different clubs and league, mostly Championship and League One clubs. So I think it's attracted, been getting interest from clubs like Birmingham City. Don't forget Birmingham City signed Bright Osai Samuel. So I think overall that could be a good move for him. I know he hasn't made his debut yet for Nigeria, but he has indeed already switched his national team allegiance since 2019, which is just crazy to me that he hasn't yet, been given the opportunity to play for Nigeria. Because when it comes to dual nationals, we always like to complain and say how arrogant and how prideful they are. They don't want to play for Nigeria. People like to say things like that. But he has switched since. I don't know why he hasn't gotten to play yet. So for me, it's interesting to see where he does end up. Right now, he's 29, going on 30, so he's not the spring chicken anymore. Let's see where he ends up. And one player that I'm a bit concerned about is Justin Adebayo. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that name so much, especially when he went on Arise and he was asked about playing for Nigeria and he doesn't want to answer that question. I know that would have upset a lot of Nigerians. I've been one that have been championing, him to switch to allegiance to Nigeria and play for Nigeria. But at some point, I'm becoming a little bit tired of talking about it. Hopefully, he does what is right and plays for Nigeria. Cool. But I think I'm a bit concerned about his future with Chelsea because right now we have Cole Will ahead of him. And for some weird reason, Chalobah is ahead of him, though I feel he is a better defender than Chalobah. It's just crazy for me that for whatever reason, you're having Chalobah that is not super consistent in my opinion. Chalobah is a player that can give you moments where you say, wow, he's brilliant. But to be that guy that starts week in, week out for you, I don't really think so. I don't really think that he is that guy. Absolutely. So let's see how it all checks out for him. So total opinions on that. Chuba Akpom possibly heading back to England. That's something you want to see. You even care, so much about Chuba Akpom. But for me, let's see what happens with him. So overall, Nigerian transfer of Nigerian players has really been heating up and has been really a busy time for everyone. Now, in the show that we'll be having later on today by 5 p.m., have that in your diaries, have that in your calendars. And one other way that you could make sure you don't miss that will be by subscribing to the channel and clicking on the notification bell. And so immediately the show comes on live, you'll be notified and then you can join the show. I want to thank everyone who's been on the channel with me so far today. Thank you. You've been absolutely brilliant, especially earlier on where we had some technical issues. Not from my end though, but it was more of a YouTube issue. But nonetheless, apologies that all that have been sorted and you would enjoy even better the next stream that will be by 5 p.m. So keep your eyes peeled on that one. Now, if there are more things that you want to see me talk about on the channel, let me know. Also, we'll be having 2 live streams today. There will be the transfer one that will be coming up later in the evening, but there'll be other ones where we'll talk about other topics around football players. So keep your eyes peeled on the channel. So at this point, I've come to the end of the video of this live stream. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. And I'll see you on